Barkati Hour, Barkati Hour Shy, Barkati Hour, Barkati Hour Shy, Barkati Hour, Barkati Hour Shy, Call Loim Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shy, by Hashem, Rakal Kadash, double honor to the apostles and elders, which are a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the sincere Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity, and diligent putting up videos throughout the week, feeding the sheep. This is McQuarrie from the Trumpet and VA camp, and I'm gonna get right into it. This is off of Blacklisted News, an article. It says vaccine mandates for everyone, everywhere. A globally coordinated agenda. September 19th. So this is today. It says source technocranews.news. It says let me see. It says technocracy endgame to use science of social engineering for the sake of total social control includes the entire field of healthcare, including globally mandated vaccines. TN editor in the United States, those who are vaccine risk aware have much to be concerned about right now. More and more states and many legislators from both political parties are displaying a willingness to impose heavy-handed vaccine mandates that trample on religious, parental, and human rights, including the precious right to security of persons, guaranteed by Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So you see one of the things on there says religious, because let's go right into it real quick. See Leviticus 19:28, ye shall not make any cutting in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I'm Yahweh. So you're not supposed to make any cuttings in your flesh or make any marks upon you. And you go into the word mark, an incision, imprintment, tattoo, or mark. You see an incision or gash. So that's cutting into the flesh. Now, when you take a needle, that's literally a cut into the flesh. That's why I got. So before the way they would have it set up is though, if you would say for religious reasons, you can deny taking vaccines. It says what some Americans may not realize is that the current push for mandates is paying out, not just in the U.S., but in other countries as well, reflecting a broader and indeed global agenda. Countries such as Australia, Italy, France have taken the lead in transitioning away from government interventions that merely nudge or persuade individuals to vaccinate, and toward a more punitive exercise of coercive power, even though research suggests that tougher stances on the part of doctors and public health experts tend to polarize attitudes in the public. Australia's 2016 no jab, no pay law, for an example, withholds thousands of dollars in childcare subsidized from the parents branded as vaccine refusers. And some Australian states restricts unvaccinated children's access to child care altogether. So what they were doing is basically they were splitting people. Basically, socially, they were socially splitting people up, pitting one person up and one person down according to if they had if they got shots or not. And now this is really a building up to the mark of the beast. because they can get the religious and all these other things out the way just for vaccines. That's going to pave the way for them to mandate incisions for the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. It says, because I guess they figure, hey, if they're using religious reasons not to get vaccines, they'll use these same religious reasons definitely for the RFID microchip. So if they can knock down religious for the vaccines, they can knock it down for the microchip as well. It says one of the primary covered stories that governments are using to justify the fierce uptick in vaccines coercions in the argument that the infectious diseases pose a threat to national security. Measles represents the overblown threat du jour, while around the world officials and media keep the public in the dark about the measles vaccines risk. So basically, Esau is creating diseases so he can have reasons to give people these so-called vaccines. And it says they're not even telling you the risk and the side effects of taking these vaccines. It says the Global Health Security Agenda (GHSA) formed to elevate global health security as a national and global priority. One one of the 11 action packages to which GHSA stakeholders agreed was an immunization action package that just so happened to use measles vaccine coverage as its priority, as its proxy indicator for success, considering that the action package's aim is a Marshall regional and global collaboration to accelerate vaccine coverage. How should we construe the measles hysteria? The international organizations, governments, and media have been fomenting ever since the GHSA's creation, taking the concept of our interconnected global network to an entirely new level. All sorts of public and private advisors, partners, are also in on a push for a unitary action, including various United Nations UN agencies, the World Health Organization (WHO), the World Bank, the African Union, the European Union, and even some ominously Interpol. So you got everybody coming together to basically this is the literally like the beginning stages of the next step towards the beast system going into the mark of the beast, because you see all the nations are getting in on it, because all the nations are going to be down with the mark of the beast. So you gotta pay to play. It says interconnected global network. See, there it is. Although generally not in the media spotlight, the GHSA attracted high level attention and commitments from the powerful from the get go. Within 4 months of its February 2014 launch, the DHSA received a key endorsement from the G7. And in September, President Obama hosted the new entity first major meeting at the White House, distracting the public from the earth-shattering revelations of the CDC vaccination fraud issue a few weeks earlier by whistleblower William Thompson. So it was a whistleblower coming out, basically, spilling the beans on the vaccination fraud. Because we know the vaccinations are like behind, like all these so-called new diseases, like ADHD, autism, and things like that. Basically, these vaccines are geared to destroy the jakes primarily, and you see the G7 summit, and this is where you read up in all these nations. When it's read right here, where all the nations are in on it and agreeing on it. That's what the G7 is all about. All the nations coming together, plotting basically. It says issued a few weeks earlier by whistleblower William Thompson. GSA meeting participants instead solemnly declared a biological threat anywhere is a biological threat everywhere. and it is a world responsibility to respond as one. In late 2016, the outgoing President Obama signed an executive order that cemented the GHSA as a national presidential level priority and positioned the U.S. as a committed long-term catalyst for the for the executing the partnership goals. At present, the GHSA has 67 member countries, but taking the concept of an interconnected global network to an entirely new level, all sorts of public and private advisory partners are also in on a push for unitary action, including various UN agencies, WHO, AU, and the EU. The GHSA promotes external country level evaluations to assess, among other measures, steps taken to prevent infectious threats with prevention, deny as human immunization coverage, and improve surveillance via detection, assessment, and reporting of public health events. The U.S. was one of the first countries to step up for the assessment conducted in close collaboration by externals. So basically what this is, let me see. It says Thomas Frieden praised by Obama as an expert. Arrested. So you had this guy Thomas, the whistleblower, was arrested on sexual abuse charges. So I'm assuming he came out, he started blowing the whistle, and they threw some dirt on him. Because you know how the U.S. gets down. But the whole point of this is they're trying to if anybody with eyes to see can clearly see that they're trying to push the vaccines on people and take away religious reasons to deny vaccines as a stepping stone to usher in the RFID microchip. So people can't say, well, I can't get it for religious reasons, because they're like, yo, we've been knocked that out with the vaccines. So you already got the vaccines. So now you're going to take this chip. And we know you take the chip, you got to die. But we not, but yeah, things are heating up right now. As soon as they get this out the way, it's pretty much all over. I seen an article probably a couple weeks ago where they was trying to do this in New York. They were so-called forcing Jewish people to take vaccines, so they couldn't deny it. But we know this is all about coming for the Jakes and trying to pave the way for the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip. But with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakal, Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, which are a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the sincere Akim, pushing truth and sincerity, and those who putting up videos throughout the week, feeding the sheep. Shalom.